people of the internet, welcome back to another video on my channel. If you notice I'm wearing the same thing as I did in another video, mind your business. I spend a lot of time on TikTok and majority of my ideas come from things on that platform. One of the things that I've seen reoccurringly from the past maybe 6 months or so is a idea that a lot of people feel very disconnected from themselves internally. They yearn for a time where they were more connected to themselves, also a previous version of themselves that was more intelligent, thought more, had more time to spend in intellectualizing. And it made me think, what is a solution to this? Critical thinking. Now you may be thinking to yourself, isn't that usually taught in academic settings? You'd be right. And you also may be asking yourself, why are you making this video? And to that, I think that you are asking too many questions. So let me get to this. Today, we're going to be talking about critical thinking and how to return back to yourself. We're going to be reading some notes off of my phone. So if you see me looking down, that's why. And my plan for this was to create a little robot, to make this little robot while I was talking, but I don't think that I can multitask and do that. Hope you enjoyed the video. Everyone yearns for originality. Everyone is asking, what is the new thing that we can all latch on to? And what's rewarded on social media is often not what is new, not a concept that we haven't heard before, even though I don't really believe that exists. It's more so, how can we keep reiterating the same idea, copy and paste it? Not necessarily how can we make an idea different. We can make it a iteration. We want to see when a concept comes onto the scene, a new one, how and who can be the best person to say this new idea or concept, and also who's going to be the new mouthpiece for said idea. Even in self-help spheres, a lot of times I hear the same regurgitated advice over and over again. And although there may be only a certain amount of subjects that you can really say to a broad audience and it still applies, I think the bigger issue is still this regurgitation of ideas. This becomes an issue when you get into these spheres and everything becomes a echo chamber. You start to live in a bubble. And instead of it being something that is uniquely applied to yourself, and a topic, anything that you've gained from media or consumed, and you use it to your own life and see how it can have nuance in your life, you just hear this, repeat it, and then you move on to the next thing. There is a huge fear of deviation from what is culturally acceptable. There is this huge fear of being new or stepping out or anything like that, especially I'm Gen Z, right? So I see a lot of my peers afraid to branch out on ideas, afraid to try new things. I think critical thinking helps you get out of that cycle. I'm not who I want to be because I'm listening to advice that is been spewed over and over and over and over again. In no way is this a huge deep dive of what critical thinking is. This is more so a icebreaker, a small mint, if you will, for what critical thinking actually is. So what is critical thinking? Critical thinking, it is a little bit difficult of a skill to define because it depends on the context we're talking about, whether it's psychological, philosophical, or even biological. Critical thinking is different, but my definition is the skill of analyzing, interpreting, and looking at information critically and objectively to deduce an informed decision or opinions. Why is critical thinking useful outside of academia? There isn't a lot of people that take time to process their emotions and instead use content or media to constantly inhale new information. Critical thinking is a way to look at what you're consuming and understand if it's useful, if it's productive, if it's even something that's true, to keep you well informed when we come into culture, politics, religion, anything like that. Critical thinking is going to not only allow you to take things at face value, but look into the deeper intention of the speaker. Makes it also easier for you to detect if you're in an echo chamber or not. If you're constantly hearing people fear or be swayed by a specific idea or a specific person, but they don't really have any credentials, you can start to see that you're in an echo chamber. You're less easily manipulated by black and white mentality. I think humans are very susceptible to black and white mentality, regardless of if you were critical thinking or not. But With that skill in mind, it'd be easier for you to realize whether or not an opinion or fact is based in black and white thinking or is having an intention of manipulating you. Propaganda, if you will. Literacy is something that goes hand in hand with critical thinking. It's a skill that's taught in schools, but outside of schools, for some reason, it just goes completely out. It helps you develop pattern recognition to draw better conclusions. I believe that critical thinking is not only a thought, but it's also experience, because in order to have a better understanding and informed decision, you have to experience things, and critical thinking has you make better decisions for yourself based on your past experiences. You problem solve with innovation. You make more creatively aligned problem solving skills rather than it being, again, black and white or simply, oh, this or that. You are able to look at the nuance of a problem or a situation and make a better choice on how to solve the problem. The main thing I want to stress in this section for all of my neurotic, overthinking, anxious folks of how to use critical thinking to come back to yourself is that critical thinking does not mean paralyzing yourself with thought. The point of this video is to have a better understanding and awareness about what you were consuming, the things that you're repeating to yourself, the people that you're listening to, and making better choices based off of awareness, not just paralyzing anxiety. Amongst my peers, I noticed a pattern of disconnection. There is a paralysis of formulating your own opinion due to being judged or standing against society's expectations about what you should be. But I believe in order to live an enjoyable, fulfilling life, you can't be always in line with society's zeitgeist. The life you live may not make you happy. The people that are around you may no longer feel like friends. They may feel like enemies. Your work, your things that are in your schedule may feel out of alignment. But the only way that you can understand this is understanding how to look at yourself objectively. Look at yourself from the perception of not what is societally and culturally acceptable, but what is in alignment with you, what makes you fulfilled at the end of the day. How do you implement critical thinking to better understand yourself and come back home? Number one is always questioning your beliefs, the media that you're consuming, and opinions of others. Don't accept things simply on the surface because somebody in an authoritative position told you that that's what it should be. Just because someone is older than you does not mean that they're necessarily more mature than you, does also not mean that they know better than you when it comes to life. You were allowed to make your own opinions, and it's better to make them based on informed information that you have collected, as well as not being a person that is constantly taking things on the surface level. Another way is to ask yourself questions on your own beliefs. Why is this thought a common belief? What circumstances made me feel this way? Another thing is, where is this information coming from? What is the speaker's intention by delivering this to me? Another way to make this simplified, the line of questioning is the Socrates question, is to notice your feelings and not overstep what it is that you feel in order to appease what's societally acceptable. You don't want to be a person that is somebody that gets married, or you don't want to live with your family, or you don't want to have pets, or you don't want certain things that are societally acceptable. Yes, it may seem silly, but it's like these things are very real, and people get pressured into making decisions that they feel like they should be doing, they feel like they should want, but it's not something that they truly feel internally. Trust your own emotions. Trust that emotionally you know what you desire, you know what you don't desire, and trust that you are making the right decision, even if at this point in time it feels like it's wrong. You're going against the grain in some capacity. Get comfortable being wrong and not taking it as a personal attack. I think that most human beings do this. I think a lot of people get very upset, triggered, or like it's a threat to be wrong about something. But in order to think about things critically, in order for you to have a more expansive knowledge, in order for you to make informed and better decisions, you have to be wrong sometimes. You can't be the person that always has all the facts and information about every single subject that's ever been created in the entire world. You have to be wrong at some point. And it doesn't mean that you're a bad person if you're wrong about something. It doesn't mean that, oh, you misremembered a fact, you misremembered some sort of information, and all of a sudden you've created like hell on earth. You can be wrong and still be a person that's learning, and you don't have to have all of the answers. Be comfortable being wrong. Use previous knowledge and information to ask better questions in depth in learning. But I find that the best way that I learn and make decisions is understanding why something functions as it is. What is the purpose of this information that I'm learning, and how does it fit into the big picture? If someone is telling me an opinion about something, I ask why. Why do you feel like that? Why is this way? And people make it turned off by this or become resistant to this idea of asking questions because they don't want to seem argumentative. But I think to better understand people, to depthen the relationships with people and with media, your relationship to basically anything, you have to ask yourself and the person why. Using your own interpretation and your own experiences is also going to help you bring your awareness to being observational and not judgmental. Being too judgmental towards yourself and to others is going to constantly keep you at a distance. It's going to build a shield, a barrier between you and what could be a learning experience because you're too overly judgmental. Be observational of people's behaviors, their opinions. Also, just for you, the media that you consume. Be an observer, not a judger. In painful situations, describe situations objectively and look to a broader lens instead of predetermined emotions and judgments. Now, this does not mean that you are not emotionless. What I'm saying when I express this, when you think back to previous situations, do not look at them from the lens of I shoulda, coulda, woulda. Don't ruminate on what decisions that you could have made. You have to look at it from an objective perspective and understand also you are probably the person that's reliving this the most, unless it's like publicized and like on media and all that kind of stuff like that. I mean, that's a different story. I don't want you to live in a memory or a past event because you think that there's more that you could have done or you did what you thought was best, and that's completely fine. But when you're reliving these experiences in your mind, look at them from the objective perspective. This is not for trauma-centric things. That's a completely different subject, a completely different lens. I'm talking about you slipped and fell trying to get a coffee at Starbucks. Learn to validate your emotions without over-intellectualizing them. You can think about a situation objectively while not intellectualizing your emotions, i.e. not trying to figure out, oh, well, why do I feel like this? You still need to feel your emotions, and then you can think and analyze and critically think about whatever it is that happened in the situation. Consider that two things can be true at once. Not everything is black and white. Not everything has to be either or. There can be two things that oppose each other but be true at once. Life is nuanced. When you're consuming media, before adapting a mindset, behavior, or a fact, ask yourself if the information you're consuming is credible, applicable, useful beyond the next 10 minutes. Look at the media you are consuming. Be aware of what information you are putting in your brain because it is very, very powerful. A lot of opinions are being thrown at you, and it is your decision to decipher them. It is your responsibility to understand, oh, do I believe this? Oh, is this actually true? Look deeper into the things that are being thrown out there. The last thing, what I kind of mentioned before of living a more fulfilling life, is question how you're living your life. Look at your life and be objective. Give yourself, I would say, an analysis and ask yourself, are you happy with where you are right now? And not to say that you have to accomplish this huge thing in order for you to have happiness within your life, but are there small things that are hindering your happiness? Are there old, outdated beliefs, traditions, anything like that, even people that are holding you back in your happiness? It can be the simple pleasures in life that you don't allow yourself to experience because there's shame written with them. There's opinions from other people that you hold on to. You could want to go after being a content creator, and you have this opinion in your mind that content creators don't make money, or you can't do this and you can't do that. And they're outdated beliefs that are no longer in congruence with how you feel, but you still hold on to them. You need to ask yourself, why do I feel like this? What is this opinion coming from? Ask yourself these questions. Think about these things in a serious, critical lens. And question yourself to discover your desires. Act on them. Question yourself and see what is it that you truly want, and act on those desires and gain experience. The more experience that you have, the more informed decisions that you can make, the better choices that you're going to choose for yourself because you have the experience backing it up. You don't have to know everything before you make a decision. You need to make the decision based on what tools that you have at your disposal and what information is useful to you at now. Do not hoard information. Do not look at things constantly on the internet and try to figure out, hey, how do I do this? Hey, how do I do that? If you're never going to use that information, that is mental clutter. My conclusion to this video is it's a quick intro to critical thinking. I just kept thinking about how people always talk about, I want to be smart again. I want to be connected to myself, but nobody really talks about looking at things critically and being objective with yourself. Critical thinking is very broad, various models of critical thought. There's some that I linked in the description below if you're interested in them. I read some studies. That's pretty much what I got for this video. If you liked it, if you want me to do more videos like this or on subjects like this, let me know in the comments below. If you want to support me, you can subscribe, you can like, you can follow me on my social medias. And if you really, really want to get into it, you can also follow me on Substack. I release the scripts to these videos because they're a lot more cohesive, I should say, more than these videos. But I hope that you enjoy this video. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. That's all I got. Bye-bye.